Hey y'all, today I'm going to talk about Singapore Central Provident Fund, otherwise known as Singapore CPF. It's basically our retirement pension fund that's operated by the government. Anyway, let's get started. So, imagine you have a paycheck, a monthly salary of this amount. 20% of this amount goes to your CPF, 80% goes to you. This is what you take home to be taxed later. We call this pre-tax. And then on top of paying you this 100% amount of your monthly paycheck, your employer also further gives you 17% into your CPF. And so the CPF is split into three different accounts: OA for ordinary account, SA for special account, MA for MediSave account. OA is for buying houses. You can use this to pay for houses, and when you sell your house or property, you pay back the amount plus the missing interest that you were supposed to pay. Special account is a high interest account that you can invest if you want to, or just let it sit there and earn high 4% guaranteed interest from the government. MediSave account is only allowed to pay for medical bills, insurance, hospitalization insurance, so on and so forth. And so MediSave account, special account, ordinary account all comes proportionately by some ratio that CPF decides on all of your contributions. And so this monthly wage contribution is considered the ordinary wage. And the total amount of ordinary wage that's used to contribute to 37%, 20 plus 17, is part of this thing called annual wage. So annual wage is currently in 2024 decided to be $102,000. And so if you're earning in under $102,000, all of your wages combined, your bonuses paid out by your company would also have 20% of it deducted to go into your CPF, where your employer matches another 17% to your CPF. Okay, so does that mean that we would always pay 20% from our monthly paycheck into CPF? No, because there is a limit. 2024, this is $6,800, which means if you're earning $7,000, a month, okay, $200, which is the difference between $7,000 and $6,800, would be given to you. Okay, the remainder of $6,800 here, 20% goes to CPF, and the 80% of $6,800 goes to you. And you are happy to pay tax on this. And so if you multiply $6,800 by 12, very simple stuff, it amounts to $81,600 a year. And so it means if you earn in excess of $6,800, $81,600 of your annual wage will be used to pay for CPF. So 20% of this. Okay, and then your employer matches 17% of this. That's if you earn in excess of $6,800. If you earn less, this will be less. However, this amount that's being used to ascertain your CPF counts towards this $102,000 limit. And so if you take this and minus this, you get $20,400. And so if you have any bonus, if you already exceed $6,800 a month of salary, your bonuses up to $20,400 in that specific year would be also deducted 20% to your CPF with the employer matching of 17%. So far so good. And so as you can see, 20 plus 17 is 37%. This annual wage limit that CPF sets times 37% comes to $37,740. And why is this number so special? It is because this is your annual CPF contribution limit. The CPF contribution from the ordinary wage of you putting 20% in and employer matching 17% plus your bonuses 20% and 17% matching, plus if there is a employer voluntary contribution to CPF, which your employer might choose to do to give you extra MediSave or contributions, that as well contributes to this maximum of $37,740 contribution to your CPF a year. So what if you earn less than this and then your bonus doesn't hit this? So basically your annual wage is less than $102,000. It means that your wage-based contributions will not hit the limit, and you really love CPF and you love to lock up all your money into the government for that sweet 4% interest and 2.5% in ordinary income, ordinary account. You can do what is called a CPF top-up. CPF top-up is surprisingly extremely simple. There are two ways to do this. One is called the RSTU. One is called the VC. RSTU stands for Retirement Sum Top Up. VC stands for Voluntary Contributions. And RSTU can be done in two ways. The first one is OA to SA conversion. The second way is cash. So you can put any of your take-home cash here or your existing savings into RSTU to do a cash contribution. On top of that, VC also has two ways of doing it. You have the normal, which is like any other contribution to CPF, whereby it's split into 3 accounts proportionately by the ratio that CPF sets, or you can do what is called as VCMA, which is to do a voluntary contribution to only your MediSave account. So what's the difference between all of these then? Well, ordinary accounts do SA transfer. You have already enjoyed a tax deduction or OA contribution from prior years, right? So when you transfer it to SA, it just boosts the special account for the highest interest rates. You don't get tax deductions on this. So no tax deduction. Cash, you're using out-of-pocket money to top up SA, special account. Oh, I forgot to mention, RSTU tops up your special account, specifically your special account over here, okay? And so cash tops up your special account. This is tax deductible. Voluntary contributions proportionally to three accounts, not tax deductible. VCMA, tax deductible. And so the only tax deductible methods are cash and VCMA. And the combined amount, you can do both RSTU and VC at the same time in the same year. However, these two combined, you can only claim a maximum of $8,000 of tax deductions in that year combined. Okay, so if you did RSTU 5,000 and VCMA 5,000, that's 10,000 voluntary CPF top-ups. You still only get $8,000 of tax deductions. So far so good? Yes, very good. Then on top of doing this for yourself, you can do it for a loved one. And so you can do the exact same thing over here one more time for another $8,000 of tax deductions for your loved ones. And that comprises of your spouse, your siblings, or your father, mother, and your in-laws, right? And so all of these can be done for another $8,000, but the catch is the recipient must not have earned more than $4,000 in the entire prior year, which means if you are contributing $8,000 to their CPF in 2024, they must not have earned more than $4,000 in 2023. If they did, you cannot claim the tax deduction. You can still contribute to the CPF, but you cannot claim a tax deduction. So far so good. So in the best case scenario, you get 16,000. Worst case scenario, you get 8,000 tax deductions. And then on top of this, you need to make sure that RSTU top up does not exceed the FRS in special account. What does that? What is FRS? FRS stands for Full Retirement Sum, and so it is calculated by OA plus SA. So by the time you turn 55, your OA and SA up to the amount of FRS would be converted into RA, retirement account. And so it front loads the retirement account with your SA amount and then tops up whatever that is not enough up till the FRS amount from your ordinary account. So SA goes first into RA, then OA into RA. Obviously, you want more in your SA after this whole conversion thing, right? Because this is 4% interest and this is 2.5% interest. And so, but we'll get to that later, which means that you cannot do RSTU if your FRS in specifically just your SA has been met. And in 2024, I believe FRS is about $200,000. Okay, around there. And so if your special account has already reached the FRS amount, you cannot do RSTU. It's not even about the matter of tax deduction anymore. You are just not allowed because RS stands for retirement sum. You have already reached full retirement sum. Okay, and so beyond this FRS, there's also this thing called the BRS. BRS means basic retirement sum. It is half the amount of FRS, so it's about 100,000. Okay, so this means that this is the minimum amount you need in your OA plus SA by the time you turn 55. Okay, and this would be turned into your retirement account. And when you turn 55 and this whole conversion of front loading SA into RA and topping up till the FRS into your RA from your OA, you can, after 55, continue topping up directly to your RA using RSTU. I think it's RSTU. Up till the ERS, Enhanced Retirement Sum, which is 3 times BRS. So BRS is 1x, FRS is 2x, and then ERS is 3x. And what all this FRS blah 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 it turns into RA is for CPF Life. It is a government-run annuity program. For those who don't know what an annuity is, it's basically you front load your money in, and then whoever holds on to your money will give it back to you over time when you need it, like a salary in your retirement days. Anyway, so that's RSTU, FRS, everything here we have talked about. So if you look at this, we have, so beyond CPF, there is also SRS. SRS is Supplementary Retirement Sum, Savings or Sum, and you can put in $15,300 a year to be tax deducted. But SRS is not quite flexible, not quite as nice as CPF, because CPF, when you top up, is fully tax deductible, and upon withdrawal, there's no tax on it. However, for SRS, whatever you put in is fully tax deductible, but in retirement years, when you withdraw it, 50% is still taxable, which means if you, over the years, you put in lots of amounts of SRS and you don't pay tax on it, and then when you withdraw $1,000 maybe, you get 1,000, but you get tax of $500. So $500 is taxed like income in your retirement days. That's SRS. CPF, you don't get tax at all. Okay, so why do people put in SRS? It's because you can actually do an early withdrawal if you regret your contributions. You suffer a 5% penalty on top of 100% tax on it. Okay, so before the retirement age, if you take it out, you suffer a 5% penalty and you have to pay tax on the full amount, 100%, not the 95%. Okay, whereas CPF, you can never take it out. Once you put in, it's gone. You can only take it out in retirement days, beyond the retirement sum. Got it? Yes. Very easy stuff. And so, now you have 15, let's say you're super rich, you can max everything out. So your annual wage, you have more than $102,000 a year for beyond the annual wage, which means your contributions has exceeded $37,740. Doesn't mean that you cannot do voluntary contributions anymore, because the maximum contribution limit is $37,740. You are correct. So this thing, voluntary contributions, counts towards the contribution limit of this annual contribution limit. You cannot do this once you have already contributed this much. Okay. However, RSTU is not bound by this. Okay, RSTU is not bound by this limit. You can continue doing your RS top-ups if your SA has not exceeded FRS. Okay, if your SA is not exceeded FRS, even though OA plus SA converts to RA up to FRS, only SA FRS limits your RSTU, not this one. Okay, this restricts your VC. So there's another limit that you have to know about. It's called the BHS. BHS is called the Basic Healthcare Sum. It limits the maximum amount of money you can put in your MediSave account, which means everything in your MediSave account here beyond BHS would just flow into SA. So if you already maxed out your MediSave account up to the BHS, Basic Healthcare Sum, your contributions would go in and proportionally go to these three accounts, and then it will just flow over to SA. Cool. Which is why some people like to max out the MA so that they get more in their SA, but honestly it doesn't really matter. Okay, therefore if you do this VC thing, VC voluntary contributions normal proportionately to 3 accounts, or VCMA, you can put in, but it will all go to your SA. And so now, does that mean that if your SA has reached FRS you cannot do RSTU? No, that's not the case. You can still contribute to your SA, just not through RSTU. Okay, if your SA has hit FRS, you cannot do RSTU anymore. So if you want to continue doing RSTU, what you can do is you open what you call a CPF IA. This is called a CPF investment account. You can fund it with OA amounts, or you can fund it with SA amounts, and then you can invest. And therefore, this FRS is only ever calculated using what's in your CPF account. Whatever you put in your CPF IA to invest is not counted towards FRS, which means if you want to do this RSTU, you can just invest SA into the markets till it falls below the FRS, then you do RSTU top up and claim the tax deduction, then you sell your investments and put it back in. Okay, so that's possible. And then there's, since you know that there's this like taking out, do this tax deduction thing and putting back in loophole, doesn't mean that you can use this same trick to force OA into RA instead of SA, because when you're 55 it starts filling RA with your SA first until your SA runs out or hits FRS. If it runs out before it hits FRS, OA goes in. Okay, but this is high interest. You want to shield it from being converted to RA. So there's this thing called the special account shielding, which means at 54.5 years old or whatever, you dump the entire special account into a CPF IA and invest into some super low risk stuff like T-bills, Singapore Treasury bills, right? Super low risk stuff, almost guaranteed you'll get it back. Then your SA would now be 0, whereas your OA would start to fill the RA when you turn 55. And so your SA is in the markets, your OA goes into RA up till it hits FRS. Then once your RA has been created for you at 55 years old, you sell all the treasury bills and all the money goes back to SA. And now you have a very beefed up RA that's from your OA with a high interest rate and a higher amount in your SA with a higher interest rate. This loophole is called the SA shielding plan. The shielding move. So it can be used to do RSTU, it can be used to prevent SA to RA conversions. It's quite amazing. Okay? So this is the gist of your CPF. Incredibly simple. But one last thing. If you can claim $15,300 tax deductions, $16,000 tax deductions, and then $37,740 tax deductions, it comes to about $70,000. Okay? And then maybe you have children, which gives you more tax deductions. Maybe you have other tax deductions, and then you come to about $90,000 worth of tax deductions. But the IRS would only ever allow you per year to claim $80,000 in tax deductions for everything in your entire life in the annual year. For tax deductions can only go up to $80,000. So if you have $90,000 worth of tax deductions, you can only claim this much, which means if you exceed this amount, you don't have to do all this stuff to reduce your taxes anymore. You've maxed it out. you have won at life. And yeah, CPF, SRS, taxes. Very, very simple stuff.